Hello, sports fans. It's Tuesday, September 17th, 2024. Welcome to Cleats by Dre. I'm Dre. Let's talk some sports.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble! Y'all ready for this?
All right. Yes. Hello. First up, happy 20 years to the word podcast. I didn't read too much about the article that right? Apparently the guys and gals who were first experimenting with this medium, someone named Danny Gregor 20 years ago on this date, felt like there should be a word for what they're doing. He's coming on a combination of a post, an episode, a show, a broadcast. He kind of jammed it all together to a podcast. And the word was joined, a medium word was born, a medium was born, and here I am, infiltrating your airwaves. So cleaters. Yeah, see, I'm into making up words too. My cleaters, my affectionate, award-winning listeners. I have a few things for you today. Really two. First, lots of action this past weekend on the gridiron, on the diamond. We're talking Sunday, 1 p.m. hour, Jets, Giants, Mets on the TV and the laptop, on the phone. Some Yankees too. Then some Notre Dame on Saturday. I'm going to do a quick whip around the horn style talking notes on all five of these teams. Second, something a little different. I invited on my opponent in the finals of the Zone of Dones Fantasy Baseball League, Mike. Yes, I have a lot of friends named Mike. To join me to talk about our league, our upcoming matchup, why he plays, and why we even made an interstate Massachusetts-New York governor-style wager. All right, so let's get into the first part, the weekend and what it told us. What I'll do is with each of those five teams I mentioned, I'll comment on the recent games, and I'll give a championship window update, addressing the crazy question, what about this weekend moved the needle to us finding our next championship? Because that's all that matters, guys. I don't care about wins and losses. Just do we get the trophy? Do we break the drought? We're going to stick to football and baseball here, even though I know Knicks, Nets, Duke basketball are right around the corner. And we'll go in ascending order of championship odds. So the five teams, who's up first? Of course, it's the Giants. I'll say the Giants, they're full on youth, empty on brains. What a bizarre game. A 21-18 loss to the Washington football team Commanders. I immediately tweeted out right afterwards, this is the day. I saw 7 field goals beat 3 touchdowns. I came across a tweet from Jeff Kerr at CBS. The Giants became the first team in NFL history to score 3+ touchdowns, allow no touchdowns, and lose in regulation. I mean, really bizarre. It was a perfect storm of bizarre, embarrassing type things. It just shouldn't happen with NFL teams. And really, an organizational failure is at the heart of it. The kicking game, right? How embarrassing. We can't kick any extra points or field goals, and they kick 7 field goals. And that's how we lose. So for those that don't know, right, Graham Gano, the Giants kicker, did have a groin injury that was known about coming into the game. I think he had some trouble during pregame warm-ups. And, Coach Dable, GM Shane, wherever the blame lies, never added another kicker from the practice squad as a contingency. Right? All it could have been is maybe sub out, a last special teams guy or something. And, of course, what happens on the opening kickoff, and this was actually brought back on penalty, the Commanders' Eckler broke through a long return, and Gano is caught at the end chasing him down, and he pulls a hamstring. Look, I'm not a doctor. Most muscle pulls could be connected, could not be connected. They're likely connected. And so the Giants had to go the rest of the game. Their punter tried to kick an extra point. Did not look good. Dable abandoned the kicking game. The next 2 touchdowns, they went for 2. They didn't get it. It would have helped if they got it. and even couldn't kick field goals. So the 4th and 4 at the end of the game when it was tied with 2 minutes left, Neighbors dropped a pass. They could have went for a field goal there. So a couple mistakes here, right? First, the Giants regime, they knew about this. Happened last year. Gano, who's all indications a good kicker, noticeably hurt and missed 2 field goals in that Jets overtime loss. He had season-ending surgery the next week. So they had their oopsie on this. This was the second oopsie. And even at least could have had a practice squad, or maybe even not even a roster move. Have Dan Dugan of The Athletic brought this up. The punter do the kickoffs, so Gano doesn't have to chase any guys down and just does field goals and extra points. Sure, hindsight 2020, but this is the type of stuff that needs to be foresight for an organization that is trying to get back to winning. I can be okay with certain players, certain draft picks not working out, certain signings not working out, but we can't be okay with our organization not knowing how to win and how to prevent losing in every facet. This is the first time, really, the coach and GM combo is in question for me as to whether they're the ones that we can trust to win. Other parts of the game, right? Daniel Jones, he looked fine, sure. He was effective. He got the ball to Neighbors when he needed to. No damaging turnovers. There were some missed passes, offline passes. We can't go back to thinking that he's the guy again. He was fine though. But yeah, Malik Neighbors looked awesome. Looked like a weapon out there. Looked like the most dominant offensive weapon on the field. And he says all the right things even after his drop. The guy cares about winning. And please, media, do not try to make him out to be selfish or anything other than a winner. The O-line seemed to hold up and play well. And I'm honestly not even too mad at the defense. Yeah, it's really weird to give up those 7 long drives. I don't think the Commanders punted 7 long field goal drives. But it came from the running game, over 200 yards rushing by the Commanders. I'm okay with a run funnel. That's what the Chiefs do, right? The best teams say, go ahead, run the ball on us because we actually don't want you to pass. Passing is more dangerous. I don't love Bowen and he's a defensive coordinator. I think this defense should be playing better, especially after the Vikings game. But you give up 21 points in a game, you should have a decent chance to win those games. And the reviews on the defensive rookies are good. Tyler Newman, I think a 2nd-round pick, starting safety, plays every snap. Dre Phillips, another rookie, the nickel cornerback, 12 tackles, a sack. I don't watch football close enough to study the intricacies of each kind of defensive player, but the guys I trust say these guys look good and that they're playing, and that's a big deal. But look, we're 0-2 now, the Giants. And remember, we're just trying to see progress in our key pieces. This season is not going to turn into a winning season. Let's see guys become core pieces of our next championship team. Unfortunately now, the big question for me is on some core pieces also with our head coach and our GM. Do they know what it takes to win? They're both first-time head coaches and GM. Now, it's year 3, sure. Oh, it almost feels like I'm in a Marcus Freeman talk track here. But do they know how to win? So for the championship window, my earliest conceivable window is 2027. And honestly, that's even hard to conceive. Regardless of this, if this head coach GM regime sticks around, the team's in a tank this year on purpose or not. And so this counts on them not missing on a top 3 quarterback in the next draft, and then knowing how to build out the roster around him in year 3 of this quarterback. You have the cap benefits, stronger roster around him, a little bit of experience. Who knows what could happen? But Giants fans, that's an optimistic, I think, 2027. Okay, let's move on to team number 4. And believe it or not, this is where I'm putting the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. My tagline for them is full on vengeance, empty calories. So actually, I do a college pick'em league with my business school buds. My 3-point pick this is my top most confident pick, was Purdue plus 10 in this game. Irish won 66-7 or something like that. Maybe I was a little mad after I did my review last week and not trusting that this offense could figure it out. I was wrong. It was, yeah, it's probably the worst pick that we'll have collectively this year. But yeah, the Irish came back, right, with vengeance. The running game was elite. The defense brought pressure. They really outclassed a feeble Purdue team. Some unfortunate injuries, at center, at defensive end with Botello, who started to play well. So they have some work to do, but something about this win still feels like empty calories to me, and that's because we haven't seen Riley Leonard take that next step yet to be a total for us to have a total offense and be a passing quarterback down the field. He was great. 3 rushing touchdowns. He looked elusive. He looked like what was advertised coming from Duke. Both Love and Price, the running backs, looked electric. The offensive line was making holes. But my question is, right, will we need Riley Leonard to pass? Let's say to win a title, right? Because that's still on grasp this year. If they run the table, they should make the playoffs. Does he need to pass, though, to win a national title? What I did, Cleats by Dre original analysis, I looked at the last 10 national title games and the passing yards from the winning team, the winning quarterback, or more than one guy played the winning team. So 6 out of 10 of the past champions threw for over 335 yards in the title game, 335. Guys like Joe Burrow, Mac Jones, Trevor Lawrence, Stetson Bennett, Deshaun Watson, Jake Coker threw for 335. Now then, 8 out of 10 threw for at least 224 yards. But not all 10. So, it's interesting. Last year, right? Michigan, J.J. McCarthy. He threw for 140 yards in that title game. Michigan did not need J.J. McCarthy to pass to beat Washington. And look, you could say, sure, Michigan all-time great run game and offensive line, all-time great defense. Washington was a little bit of a fugazi title contender. The point stands. I wonder, is this what Freeman and the team saw with Michigan just won? So do we have to develop a passing game? If Riley Leonard runs like he did against Purdue, maybe, right? The whole point is to increase EPA, expected points added, get the most possible points, set yourself in to score points with every play. If they're going to run like they ran against Purdue, maybe. But look, even last year, McCarthy did average 200 a game, passing yards. Yards per attempt was 9. So far this year, Riley is at 144 yards per game, 5.6 yards per attempt. So he's going to have to pass it. I'm sorry. And I'd love to be proven wrong. So I'm still, the Irish turned around their season a little bit. They have a lot more to do this year. My championship window for them is now 2026. I got to say it. I think it's going to be with a developed quarterback in the system. And if CJ Carr is as good as everyone says, I think it comes with him. And this window also assumes that Freeman figures it out. He stays. He keeps his job. He grows into the role. I do think if a regime changes, a lot of starts up, that window's going to move out. But I don't see it this year or next year with the Irish, but 2026, some continuity, potentially year 5 of Freeman. That's my updated window. Okay, let's go over to MLB. Team number 3 is the New York Mets. And I'll say for them, full hearts, empty instincts. So Mets had a really, really tough, really competitive, really good series with the Phillies, right? The Phillies are a first-place team this past weekend. They blew them out on Friday, and then some really close losses on Saturday and Sunday where you can't even say, that they blew those games as much as, the Phillies are a good team. And kudos for this team to be close when really they lost Lindor in the middle, actually towards the end of the first game, and he was injured, right, their MVP. But Sunday's game had me thinking, baseball's a game of inches and instincts. And there are 2 examples that just kind of made me shiver a little bit where, and it could be nitpicking, but I think it was in the 6th inning. I forget if the score was tied or we were up 1. I think it was tied. Brandon Nimmo, infield hit. but then the ball gets thrown behind or the first baseman and goes down to home plate. And if Nimmo is more aware, he maybe advances to second base on the error. It seems like he wasn't quite ready to move up to second. And what ensues, of course, is two deep flyouts by two of our grizzled veterans. J.D. Martinez hits the warning track, and then Iglesias hits it pretty deep. If Nimmo's on second with no outs leading off the inning, he tags up and goes to third, and tags up and goes home. That the inches of making that play in a game that was tied, 1 run, big difference. Now flip that, in the ninth inning, Phillies, grizzled team, right? They've been to the World Series. They've been to the NLCS the last 2 years. Against our closer, Edwin Diaz, Castellanos gets on with a single. And then, I think it was 1 out, right? With a 1-2 count on Real Muto. Or no, maybe the batter before, because I think it was a steal and a strikeout. Castellanos steals second. He's not a base stealer. He steals like 6 a year. He gets to second base, and then Real Muto with the 0-2 count, and Diaz leaves one up, as he's known to do. Real Muto takes one to the right field gap, which easily scores Castellanos from second. I don't think it scores him from first. So, it's almost like 3 plays before the big play. The Phillies are a team that knows how to win. The Phillies go and make that extra inch. Can the Mets do that? What happened to the Mets in 2022? Well, it was more than just, I think, Scherzer getting bombed and Bassett getting bombed. Does this core, the Nimmo, Alonso, Lindor, do these guys, McNeil, these guys have the makeup to win? That extra edge? It's winning doesn't just come randomly, guys. So that bugged me a little bit, but overall, the Mets are playing some really good baseball. I think it's unfair that our 2 worst injuries this year came in the middle of our best wins. We were killing the Phillies Friday night, and Lindor, whatever, comes up awkwardly on that, going to second on his double. And then back in the summer, right, we're rolling the Braves. Senga's pitching great, and he gets injured trying to field the grounder, and hopefully he comes back soon. But that's just cruel, even for the Mets. But they're tough, full hearts. I'm recording this Monday night. It's, really gritty, and the team has not hit well the last couple of games without Lindor. They found a way in this game against the Nationals, down 1-0. Iglesias works out. Taylor with a huge double, and Iglesias kind of pushes out a single to tie it in the 8th. And the bullpen holds, and Starling Marte comes up with a clutch hit in the 10th, and the Mets win 2-1. Starling Marte, that's a forgotten player. When I did my episodes in the middle of the year, the Mets are more dangerous than the Yanks. The Mets are more dangerous than the Braves. He wasn't playing. I don't even know if I was counting him as part of the lineup. But he's critical, especially with these injuries now to McNeil and now Lindor. I remember a stat back in 2022, towards the end of the year. Marte, he had a great year. At least that year, I look at the career stats. He hits excellent pitching well. Not all the other guys do. At this time, Lindor was not hitting excellent pitching well. Nimmo was not hitting excellent pitching well. This is a big difference when you get to playoff baseball. You can hit top pitching. It's not just you feast on some of the worst teams out there. So Marte, he was out of the starting lineup with a forearm injury. Hopefully he can play. What a huge hit. What a huge win. Because look, I was down Sunday. My teams weren't doing well. The fantasy team wasn't doing well. Put on ESPN, and boy, did the Dodgers finally open up on the Braves. Finally, someone helps us. And then the Dodgers opened up on them again Monday night. So the Mets are up one game on the Braves. They're 1 game back the Diamondbacks. It's a good start that they're ahead. But we got a lot of fun baseball coming up. So the Mets championship window, I'm putting 2025. Look, this year could have an amazing run in it. But the odds are still just 50% to make the playoffs with our tough schedule coming up. 2% per Fangraphs to win it all this year. I am hoping. Realistically, though, I think they reload fully in the offseason. Every which way. Build on this core. Build on this chemistry this team started. And next year come in a strong contender for the title. Okay, these next two teams I don't follow as closely, but I'm gonna have to because I'm ranking them as having two of the highest championship odds, coming forward. So I'm gonna have to get into them more. Number two is the New York Yankees. I say they're full on respect. They're empty on grit potentially. The Yankees are actually the current odds-on World Series favorite according to Fangraphs at 17%. I don't know how exactly. I guess it's just really wide open, right? The Dodgers struggling a little bit. There's not as many behemoths, and the Yankees have one of the best records. You know, every time I look though, like something embarrassing seems to be happening. Whether Garrett Cole yesterday, they're hitting Rafael Devers, then they're intentionally walking him, then he's getting bombed. Clay Holmes has blown so many saves. He's out of the closer's role. And every time I go on Twitter, I see John Boy right coming at Aaron Boone about Anthony Volpe and his playing time because Volpe he's not hitting like a major leaguer. Since July 24th when I did the podcast, the Mets are more dangerous than the Yankees. The Yankees have been sixth in runs scored, which is good, but 17th in runs allowed. So their pitching has really let off. It feels like they've been kind of middling since that point, even before that point. Hot start, but kind of like 500 since. But everyone else is kind of crawling along. But look, the talent's obviously there. They brought Dominguez up. They traded for Chisholm. Stanton's hitting. Rizzo's back. Wells is turned into a catcher. The starting pitching is deep. Clark Schmidt's back. They're still there. Experience is there. It looks like they're going to get the 1 or 2 seed in the AL and a bye, which is huge. Some home field. I just don't sense the grit. It doesn't feel like those Yankees teams that used to win titles. I got to see it before I believe it, but I got to recognize the talent and the advantage they have. So look, their window is this year. So again, 17% per Fangraphs, the highest percentage of any of these teams. And after all, look, why not, right? They're the Yankees. They own 27 of the 54 world championships New York sports can claim. That's half. So I guess we're going to count on them for another one. But let's see. And that leaves the one team of the 5 that I'm still saying most likely to win the next Super Bowl for New York sports. It's the New York Jets. I say they're full on potential, a little bit of empty on been there, done that. So with the Jets, I'll be honest, I haven't watched too much of their 2 games so far. I've tuned in here and there. I understand there's some questions on the defense and if they're as good as billed. I get there's some questions about the head coach. I have questions about it. That's my biggest question, right? Can he go toe-to-toe with an Andy Reid, with a John Harbaugh? Can he go head-to-head with those kind of guys? If it goes to the Super Bowl, Kyle Shanahan, the 49ers really took it to the Jets on Monday night. But look, this on the Jets side is like history of teams not looking great at the start of the year, but getting hot towards the end and riding that wave. And this is this team, on offense especially, so many new parts. This offense will take time to gel, but I've seen encouraging signs. Between Rodgers just being able to be healthy and be effective, give you glimpses of what he was before. Breece Hall's look electric. The fact that they now have a Braylon Allen, a young, big guy, Derrick Henry type guy that could be a 1-2 punch. A lot of teams need that 1-2 punch at running back. Garrett Wilson looks great. Mike Williams also come back in time to gel. If this team stays healthy, that offense is going to be a problem. I haven't seen anyone else in the AFC yet really say wow. To me, sure, the Chiefs, I've watched both their games. Tough games, they're winners, but not a juggernaut. And so I'm in on the Jets. I don't know anymore if they win the division. I think it might take too much time to gel. But it could be a wild card team that makes a run. I certainly believe that. And you got to beat those teams like the Titans. Titans are feisty, but at the end of the day, their quarterback, Will Levis, made the dumb play. And you got to win those games now and to learn how to win. I'm gonna be watching a lot more Jets coming up. Right now, their championship window is this year, and it really, literally this year, because they don't have. They're all in with Rodgers and whatever cap situation they have. They're 5% implied odds on most books to win. But look, I'll go with them. I'll ride it. It'll be a lot of fun. So I'm gonna watch a lot more Jets games coming up. All right. Hope you enjoyed the round of horn. I'm now going to throw it to myself for my interview with my opponent in this week's Fantasy Baseball Championship. My conversation with my buddy Mike. Okay, folks. A few episodes back, I talked about my longtime hobby of playing fantasy sports. Hobby, passion, I don't know what we call it. Side thing. The end of the baseball season opens up the best time of year in fantasy baseball, championship matchups. I've made the finals in a few of my leagues, but in one in particular, I'm lucky to have on the pod tonight my competitor Mike as we go for the championship in the Zone of Domes League. How's it going, Mike?
What's going on, Andre? How you doing, man?
Nothing much. This is the best time of year, man. This is fun. We got a 2 week showdown coming up.
That's right. We get to see how it unfolds. Definitely, I
So,
like this.
so Mike, we're friends of friends of friends, I believe, and
Yep.
we found ourselves in this league. We really haven't met in person. I don't really know if we've even spoken much before tonight, but I feel like I know you. Through text, email, drafts, trade talk.
Yeah.
I think it's 5 seasons we've now been together. Zone
Yep.
of
Five
Dome.
seasons together in the same league.
Isn't that funny how like is this male bonding in our like mid ages? Like, is this how it works? Do you just play fantasy with guys?
I think it is, especially in the world post-COVID. I mean,
Yeah.
you're not getting together as much, so I mean, I feel like I know you as well. You're one of the more active traders along with me in the league, so
Yeah. Got to make it
going
interesting.
back and forth.
Let's before we even talk about our matchup, let's take a step back. How long have you been playing fantasy for? How did you get started?
Ah, Jesus. I want to say it was like around the ages of when we used to have AOL CDs
Hmm.
for internet. I got started honestly with fantasy basketball. I entered a tournament and I did well enough in Yahoo where I won a prize, and I was like, this is great. And then I picked up baseball and football, and yeah, basketball went by the wayside, but what you gonna do?
Can you get like year, are these decades ago? Like how long are we going back?
Oh geez, this is at least 20 years.
Yeah, about me too. And why do you keep doing it? Why do you keep playing?
I mean, two main things for me. One, I think you talked about it at the beginning, camaraderie, especially for people of our age. You get to a certain time in your life, it's kind of tough to hang out or meet people or have things to do. This is definitely something to do. Brandon brought me into the league, and it's been great doing side chats or even Google chats, which we have. We have for our Massachusetts
Hmm.
compadre.
Hmm.
Chris, I'm sorry I had to beat you. No, not. Rob, I made it. So if you're listening, enjoy. And Brian, you'll be there someday. Um, but that's part of it. And then the other thing is really, I like thinking, and I think we talked a little bit before this, but just thinking through strategy, how you're going to go through making trades, doing things, drafting. I think I told you one of my favorite days of the year is draft day.
Pick the draft, yeah. Drafts are
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking. We do in football. I do a couple auctions, and that adds a new element. But our league is fun. I mean, I even like baseball in many ways better than football, right? Because it's a longer season, a little more strategy. I think a little less luck. It's come to believe.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
but it's good. No, all good reasons to play. Uh, so now getting to this league, yeah, since we've been playing together, I've appreciated your innovation in some ways from what I've seen. So when you came on the scene, I remember that first year you went with all relief pitchers. You didn't get any starting pitchers. And
Yep.
I equated it to like if you ever played Hearts, the card game, like shooting the
Yep.
moon. Like I think you were competitive that year. Talk me
Yeah.
through the strategy going against the grain. Have you always been someone that goes against the grain? But like, what were you thinking there?
I do enjoy going against the grain, so I like to play devil's advocate. So you nailed
Mm-hmm.
me on that.
Mm-hmm.
I think there were two things. One, I was coming into a new league, so I wasn't quite sure the setup. I knew some of the stats, but the second thing would be I was drafting. I actually drafted in Thailand. So you guys didn't know that, but I knew I was going to need something to be able to control. And the third thing is I'm a big fan of fantasy pros and numbers
Mm-hmm.
and basically bringing together the aggregate of everything. And I wanted to try out the Marmol strategy where you draft basically all relievers, but you spend most of your draft capital on high impact hitters. And it paid off that year. So, and keep on innovating each year. Every year now, someone tries to do something a little bit different.
Did you make the playoffs that year?
Hmm.
And did you switch to get some starters like towards the end of the year?
Yeah, yeah, that's so as it's progressed, the way our league works is we've got regular seasons roto and then playoffs is head to head.
Mm-hmm.
Downside about making it to the playoffs with a Marble strategy, which Marble actually works really well for this league to get to the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
It sucks really hard in the playoffs because you're basically picking up waiver wire pitchers, hoping you get the two starts and hoping they don't blow up on you. And I'd done some version of Marble strategy the first 2 years, 2 or 3 years. Last year, I got frustrated and I just punted and sold for the next year. And this year, I decided let's invest in some pitching early and then be aggressive and trading for pitching late. So,
It's worked out. You won the regular season this year, pretty dominantly. Um, but I'm curious because I what also was good about the Marmal, I guess, is like I think your bench was stacked with hitters. So like
yep.
no off days, right? You maximize the at bats. But yeah, the switch to the head to head in the playoffs did not account for that.
Yeah, it was one of those things. I looked at it like the A's or the Braves would. All you
Hmm.
can do is give yourself a chance, and if you make the playoffs, you got a chance.
Moneyball approach. What one other thing? You're always looking to trade. You're always into trades. You're doing trades. You're easy to trade with. Where like it's hey, this is it. One or two emails. Not everyone's like that.
Yeah.
What's that about in your makeup, your general manager makeup?
I mean, I I'm a little bit biased because I enjoy DFS and I like we talked about at the beginning. Draft day is my favorite, so
Mhm.
strategizing how to make my team better, not necessarily at the expense of someone else's team, but kind of like a win-win on both sides. Um, Most people have trouble trading because they're afraid of losing. If you've been in leagues with me, you know I am not afraid of losing. In fantasy football in my other league the other year or last year, I traded away Christian McCaffrey. Now I don't look that bad, but at the time people thought I was crazy. So
Was that a
uh,
dynasty league?
it was a keeper league,
Oh, you go
and
against the grain.
technically on points, I won each trade I sent last year. Just the rest of my team didn't work out. So
Just that little detail.
just that
Um,
detail.
so
So
I made a list. So which of these was your favorite trade that we made this year? And this is going to get inside baseball, I know, for a lot of listeners, but I made a list, right? I don't know where we started. We started with the Mike Trout. I took Mike Trout from you and Reese Hoskins, and you took Vlad Guerrero and Taylor Ward. Trout got
yep,
injured right away, and Vlad blew up.
yep,
The other one, Rodon, and I got Rodon and Mason Miller. I think you were counting on Miller getting hurt, which knock on wood, he hasn't yet. I hope he doesn't. For Webb and Logan Webb, pitcher, and Brian Abreu, which Abreu turned out to be a decent reliever for you. And
yep.
then the famous Ohapi for Taj Bradley, which I think we both cut at some point. So that was just a
You
footnote.
got to ride. You got to ride Taj for a couple when he was
He was
unhittable.
hot. He was hot, but then he stunk. Luckily, I wasn't in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Which one of those is your favorite?
I mean, obviously the one that worked out the best in the beginning, the Trout one for Guerrero. A lot of what I do, and I think actually you as well, because I couldn't get Pablo away from you. I like
No,
to buy.
no way, dude. No.
I know. I like to
What are they
buy
selling
low
low?
and sell high. And when we traded Trout and Guerrero, who was the core of it, the way I looked at it was at the beginning of the season, I had them equal or maybe Guerrero slightly higher. I got basically a quarter's worth of season, even if Mike was healthy, out of Mike Trout. So let's roll the dice. And I knew Abreu would probably bounce back because he'd had a history of being
Yeah.
a good reliever. And just for context, in our league, it's net saves and holds. So that's
Hmm.
why we're trading relief pitchers like that. And that's why the Marmol
Right.
strategy works out pretty well.
And by the way, great league setup. I'll give Cosgrove, commissioner, a lot of credit, right? We push for a lot of these things, right? The quality starts instead of wins, the on base percentage instead of batting average, net saves and holds. It's a strong setup compared to some other leagues.
Yeah. With enough moves too. I run into that in other leagues. So
What the enough activity, you mean?
not the other league I'm in has a restrictive cap on moves. So I do like that we have pretty much unrestricted moves, except
Pretty much. Pretty much. And even though you're
60
restricted.
overall. So
Well, it's funny too in the trades, because I think you've dropped Ward. Ward's in my lineup this week. I've
yep.
I've gotten Ohapi back. I did just drop Hoskins though, so there's a lot of incestuousness going on with these trades. I have to ask you one thing though, the Corbin Burns trade is that the first rounder ever traded in this league? I gotta ask Rob that.
You
You
can ask
eager?
Rob that. I'm not aware. I'll go real inside baseball for you. Everyone knew I was trading. Everyone knew I was going all in. I'm usually the most active trader in the league, and I wanted to break the trading in the league a little bit and set the bar a little high, especially because we had two or three different people. So I was like, huh, if I trade for Burns was the number one guy that I wanted. I knew I wanted him. You know what? Let's do it and let's artificially jack up all the other prices. And it worked for a week or two, but then trading resumed. So,
It's a long play because it's almost like you almost did that because you wanted more trades to happen like in future years. Like you were like, let's just get a more active trade deadline. So I see what you're doing. Um, he's a great pitcher,
yeah. The value's not looking so great, although he's been good in the playoffs
dude.
so far.
You're in the
If he gets a
finals.
champion,
If you get it
if
this year, that's all people will ever remember. They'll never remember
that's
that.
right. That's right. And
Um,
I get to keep Shota for something like a 10th or 11th rounder. So,
Shota with 11 Ks tonight. We were doing this on Monday night. I was watching. So let's go to our matchup, right? So you set it up a little bit in our league. It's a daily league, rotisserie style traditional. Then it switches to head to head. Top four teams of 11, I think we have now. Or do we have
mhm.
12? Or we
I
still
think we got
11?
11.
So two-week matchups. I beat Living Good. You squeaked it out in the last day against Cosgrove in a really strong matchup on both sides. And so it's categories. It's 5 and 5, 2 weeks.
Yep.
How are you feeling going into our matchup?
I think I feel okay about it. I'm just taking a look at my lineup right now, actually. Who did I
You have studs.
so
You have studs. You have Otani, Soto, Guerrero, Alonso, Gunner, Julio starting to hit.
yep. My offense is pretty solid top to bottom. Um, I picked up Boyd last week proactively with my last pick, knowing he'd been pitching well lately, and I
Not
knew
tonight.
he was, yeah, no, not tonight.
I have
He
I
was
have
set for
another
a
league. I'm with
restart.
you with a two-start week. Another league. I got him.
So that was strategic. And then, yeah, I mean, Mackenzie Gore, my Nationals brother, he got me through with a six inning no run outing on Sunday.
That's big.
So,
Yeah, that was big.
and yeah, I mean, Helsley started off the year strong. And then, I mean, with relief pitchers for me, I usually just target high K, low whip, and the best teams. So lots of Astros, lots of Dodgers. So
Sounds like a winning formula. On my side, my pitching has struggled all year, but it's come on. It's come on a
mm,
late. I mean, the last 2 weeks we were at ERA below 2 against Living Good. That was big. Hitting a little banged up, right? I got Lindor banged up. Judge has cooled off since that Paw Patrol episode he did.
oh
That's
yeah,
the big time curse. But my saving grace is I you're out of moves.
yep,
I mean, the free agency is my bench, my taxi squad. Every player in the league is my taxi squad. But no one else can make moves. So I had a free Monday of moves today. I got a free Monday next week. Actually, I
yep,
dropped Lindor and I'll get him back on Monday. So let's see if that comes through for me.
yeah. And you've got some ex players from me. We traded Ohapi, went back
Had
and
to.
forth on him.
Had
You
had
picked
this, a little if I did a 50-50 choice between Hoppy and I was looking at Austin Wells too. I was like, let me go with the guy that was on my competitor's team that was on more chips.
That's right. And then you picked up Alex Bregman, which hurt me to drop, but uh
I'm not as excited about him. He's been
yeah.
he's been cold, but like he's Bregman. He shouldn't
Yeah.
be a free agent.
Yep. Ward was on my team, Buxton was on my team.
You had Buxton too.
Yeah, Bush. I picked up and dropped him more times than I should have.
Dude, I got the X more chips.
That's right.
What was moves on your mind throughout the year in terms of the cap?
Not really until we got to about, I want to say the last month or so. And then I was like, oh, I've got around 10-ish moves. I should probably slow down. So I slowed down and then tried to load up just for the playoffs. So I made, oh God, who did I pick up? Like Max Mayer. I was like, he's two start. Worst case worse, I'll keep him as a last round keeper. He was pretty trash in my first
Yeah.
round, so much so they put him on the IL. But yeah, I mean, when it comes to hitters, we already went through most of my team. I wanted to
Oh,
basically cut the bench, and the bench was not very thin to start, so I had to cut Bregman and a couple others, Ward. So
well, let's see.
I wasn't too worried about my team.
We'll watch it.
So
I think it's a slow Monday. I've been looking at the stats. Not a lot going on. We've got 2 weeks of it.
yep,
I feel like we should do like a side wager or something. We should do like you're in Massachusetts, I'm in New York. We should do like a governor's side bet or something.
I love it. I'm down.
I think you got
What
to
are you
figure it
thinking?
out. Pizza for lobster or something, or clam chowder battle.
Done. Where
Sorry.
you come? You're from New York, right?
Long
Yeah.
Island. Yeah, I'm in Long Island. Yeah,
Yeah. All right. Real pizza versus real chowder.
love it. By the way, I noticed the Nats jersey. It's
hmm
Monday night. The Mets did just walk it off 2-1.
hmm
Do you follow your major league team more or your fantasy team more?
Fantasy team more.
Is that because the
My
Nats are rebuilding? Like in 2019, it was different?
well, I'm also from Boston, so let's be really honest. It's been a very good 20 years to
Are you
be
a,
a
you a Red
Boston.
Sox fan also? Red Sox and Nats?
Yeah.
All right. Two baseball.
So yeah, when the Nationals won their World Series after the Red Sox like got the curse and won several, kind of doing okay on the championships. The Red Sox overachieved this year. The Nationals, hopefully, they're on a rebuilding path. Hopefully.
Yeah,
Uh,
seems like it.
yeah. I mean, Woods coming up, that'll be great. We don't really get Masson up in Boston, so and then because I stream my cable, we don't get Nesson either. So I don't get as much baseball as I would like to watch. And I don't watch
Dude,
enough
we
baseball.
that's my next episode. We got a local. I don't get SNY. I can't watch Mets games.
Yeah,
I've been listening on the radio. That's the biggest problem with baseball. But let's save that for another episode. It's a joke.
indeed.
All right, man. We got a great matchup. We got 2 weeks ahead. Any last words? Any last predictions you got?
I mean, I changed my name to More Chips this year because I needed to win one. So,
That's what it is. Got it. I thought it was potato chips. More championships.
I mean, however it gets it done,
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be a close battle. I'm gonna say I win 7-5.
That
Or is it?
doesn't add up. That would
Does
be epic. That would be incredible.
Do we
Um,
have five? Is it
I
5-5?
think it's 10, yeah. So 7-5 or six, maybe go 6-4. I don't know what you're I think
Yeah,
it's gonna
six.
be I
It's
think
getting
it's
close.
let's call it 5-5 and I win on homers, tiebreaker.
God, don't do that to me. Because it's Shohei versus really Judge.
That's what
Like
it comes
Judge has
down
carried
to.
you all season. Shohei, I mean, that was a weird pick 1-1 because I had the first overall pick. I felt a little weird with that, but
That's fine. What you thought for gambling he'd get suspended?
no, I had no worries about that actually.
Yeah. What are you worried
I
about?
actually I was between him and Mookie Betts, and I didn't take Judge because he was injured or
Yeah, Judge, I mean, I picked ninth. Judge fell. A lot of guys passed. All
yeah,
right, so here's the predictions, and we'll do frozen pizza shipped versus frozen clam chowder. We'll do that.
done.
All right, all right, man. Thanks for coming on. Good luck. We'll track
No
it.
worries. Same to you, man.
Okay, thanks for listening, Cleaters. If you're looking for more Cleats by Dre, I suggest you go back, listen to a few episodes referenced in today's pod if you haven't already. Episode 3 covers the great New York Championship drought. Did you know we're 108 seasons into it? And episode 14, where we talk about why I play fantasy sports. Okay, take care for now. Talk to you soon.